Namaskar, audience. Welcome to another episode of Signature Global podcast series. Our topic today is defining NCR's next 15 years. How Signature Global is setting the global standards for a responsible real estate. You might have noticed two words from Signature Global's logo. Reality, which is their business. The other one is reliability, which they have already earned. And now they are focusing on responsibility of creating not just homes of brick, mortar and steel, but abodes with confidence where families, where businesses can thrive. So today's theme is, this was our topic obviously, the theme is where vision meets engineering. So for these two topics, I have on my left Mr. Nikhil Aggarwal, the director of Signature Global, the young leader who is carrying the legacy to the next generation. He is here representing the vision. And on my right is my company's chairman from Milan, Dr. Agostino Marioni, one of the most renowned seismic technology expert in the world, author of more than, I believe, 100 papers in international journals, sir?
Yes.
And multiple books on the topic. And just to set the tone, I am not a youngster anymore. And his first major project was even before my parents were married. So you can gauge his experience. And he is still learning. He is still actively involved. He came here on 24 hours notice. And why he came here today? He came here because our company, CECO-HIRUN India Pvt. Limited, an Indo-Italian joint venture, which is manufacturing more than 5 different type of anti-seismic devices in India. The biggest portfolio for manufacturing in India. And we are not made in India, we are made in India. Our technology is Italian, our expertise is Indian. And now we have launched a new project today, which is called Tuned Mass Damper. And that MOU exclusive has been signed with Signature Global today. And I must tell you, this MOU is not about adding some device into a building. It is about redefining how NCR skyline will be designed, executed, trusted and remembered for next many generations. So I'll start with Mr. Nikhil, because vision, you are bringing vision and you are our host today also. Sir, you have signed a technology agreement today. Signed it for next 15 years.
Right.
And you are focusing on at least 100 plus of your skyscrapers, which are going beyond 130, 150 meter high.
Right.
You will be installing every project with this tuned mass damper.
Yeah.
And let me make it clear, this agreement or MOU is not just for the projects that they are about to launch or recently they have launched, like Sarvam they have launched last month. This technology they are also incorporating in every project which is still under construction and going above 30-35 floors. They are not bothered about the project have already been sold, their cost sheets have been freezed, still they are using this technology to bring out responsibility factor in real estate development. So, sir, what convinced you, in addition to my approach to you and my convincing power to use it, what technical point or techno-commercial point convinced you to go for this technology, take this leap forward?
So I think more than techno-commercial aspect, it was the emotional quotient that is behind it, which is safety and which is comfort. As a consumer, when we step into their shoe, you want to live in an apartment which feels safe, which feels durable, and which has a longevity of not just 5 years, but 50 years and 100 years. So I think Delhi itself is growing taller, it is getting dense, and it is asking for some intervention with respect of changing climate and the climate risks that are already happening in and around Delhi. We understood that Delhi NCR has a need wherein the buildings need to be earthquake proof, the wind circulation needs to be monitored and being adapted in the structure itself. The consumers have become very informed about their lifestyle. They do not want a four-cornered wall apartment. They want value offering. They want safety and value which adds more to life. Assurity.
Comfort.
Yes. So our leap of faith came from the know-how that is already established in the world, as Mr. Marioni has worked on multiple research papers and already implemented in other parts of the world. When we went back, after the trip from Rome, to evaluate why India is not progressing into it, we understood it's a choice. It's a choice where you do not think about cost and profitability. You think about what value you add to consumers' life, about their life expectancy and their longevity.
So your focus while evaluating this technology, while reviewing the techno-commercial benefits and how to induct it in not just your upcoming or about to launch project, even in the projects which are already in construction phase. So it was not short-term benefits, it was a long-term profitability of structural integrity, comfort, client satisfaction, investors' confidence, and security of the capital that has been invested into your project, whether it was your own capital, whether it was funded, whether it was invested. Great, sir. So, sir, how do you see this MOU changing buyer confidence, global investor perception who are coming now for in a big numbers for FDI in India, and the premium positioning of NCR's real estate? Considering, let me complete, considering as we had described in our presentation earlier today during MOU, that NCR, Delhi, and more so this Gurgaon belt, it is being encircled by 3 active fault lines, Moradabad, Jhajjar and Sona. And now we are breaching this 100-meter mark in height due to complexity of the trade, availability of land. We have to go slimmer towers, footprint area small. So what do you believe this MOU will change in the mindset of the buyers, investors, global funding companies, and the policymakers as well?
So I think one thing needs to be understood, that the buyer is not buying a unit, they're buying your trust, which is very important. As I already mentioned, that Delhi NCR is getting more taller and denser. It is important we do not see premiumness in just marble or tiles. We see premiumness in the category of safety, in the category of comfort and durability.
Great perspective.
When it comes to NRI's confidence or FDI coming in, they need to address that Delhi NCR is now getting the change it deserves, which is not just upgrading the skyline, not just changing the environment that is already there, that is already built. They're changing the buyer's pattern. People want luxury, people want premiumness, people want to invest in and live in addresses that makes impact in their lives, right? Getting such technology on board makes them feel comfortable and safe, right? And when it comes to the last part, which is the premiumness, there's nothing better than living in a society which not just thinks about your amenities, but also thinks about your sustainability, also thinks about your future life, and life not just for yourself, but your future generations to come. They think about senior living, they think about your children, so everything for everyone.
So that you can just not pass on to your bank balances and
Exactly.
your stocks to your generation, you can pass on to them the house or the factory or the office that you'll build in. So, audience, when vision is very clear like they have, then engineering must answer it. And for that, I'll bring our founder director and our chairman, Mr. Agostino Marioni. Sir, what specific performances specifically this TMD solution addresses? Acceleration, drift, or the perception of motion? That is a motion sickness in high-rise tire.
All three these aspects. These devices will reduce the drift, will reduce the acceleration, and as a consequence will increase the comfort of the utilizer of the building. In a very simple way, with a very updated technology. Very often simple ideas are the best because are often the more reliable and more durable and technologies.
Marioni, if I take a cue from your words, you said updated. So I would like you to please tell our audience in very brief the meaning of updated.
Yes.
Because we all know, at least you and me who are in this trade, we know this tune mass damper has been actively used across the globe. Even in India, it has been used in Statue of Unity.
Yeah. Yes.
In Statue of Unity itself, it was used.
Yes.
So now updated means, have you designed or improvised the design and the concept philosophy of the tune mass damper to be used at their residences? Because all of the projects where we are planning right now with Signature Global, they are not commercial towers like a Type A 101 where you can hang a huge mass of 600-800
Yes.
tons. These are all residential towers with some space limitations, with every floor being utilized, used, because it's a costly real estate. So what is the meaning of updated? Have you improvised it?
Yes. Because the concept itself of the tune mass damper is very simple. The tune mass damper is a mass linked to the structure by something that provide the right stiffness and the right damping. Damping means dissipation of energy. So in principle it's very simple. But if we look at the previous design of other companies that were active in the field, normally the tune mass damper is a pendulum for tall structure, like in the well-known 101 building of Taipei. What is the disadvantage of the pendulum? The disadvantage is that the space required is in the 101 tower 3 floors. Maybe we cannot allow this. The second disadvantage, the pendulum is perfect and will swing without dissipating energy. Yep. But this is not good for the structure. You must dissipate energy to avoid resonances, to avoid everything. So in the other application worldwide, the dissipation of energy is provided by additional devices, for instance, in the 101 tower, hydraulic devices. These devices, sooner or later, will leak the oil and will not work properly. Instead, in our updated technology, both the function of stiffness and energy dissipation are made in a special steel rope that has been developed by the professor Walter La Carbonara and his colleague in the University of Rome and tested. So there is only one simple element without complicated mechanical parts. The complicated mechanical parts after a few years will fail or will not respond.
So Dr. Marioni, if I may...
But there is another peculiar aspect of the TMD. The other TMD installed in the structure, for instance, even in the statue you mentioned it, they are placed there and forgotten. But all the structure can modify their behavior during the life. Why? Because the material became the concrete, increased the stiffness and modify the natural period, or the human activity displace inside the building the masses and so modify the response of the building. With our system, we include a very sophisticated monitoring system with which we can receive the signals, but it's not just receiving the signals. The signal must be interpreted and analyzed and we do with a very special software based on artificial intelligence to get from the signal that is may be affected by some local disturbance. We must get the real behavior of the structure And so we are always able to verify the efficiency of the tuner mass temper and, if necessary, adapt to the structure. This in real time.
Great. So that means to make this tuned mass damper technology feasible, adaptable in Indian conditions, you have done a lot of improvisation. That's great.
Yes.
So, Nikhilji, listening to what he said and what you have said, the requirement, one thing we are sure that need is already established.
Right.
Now it's the time to set the standards.
Yeah.
So as a developer, and that too the younger person who has to carry the baton forward, bring in new innovation, new perspectives, is this your way to say that NCR should now be following the same engineering standards and benchmarks and selection processes as Tokyo, Shanghai and New York, just to take name, they are following? And do you believe this decision of yours would separate a responsible, enlightened or an updated, proactive developer than those who still build their projects only on minimum code compliances,
Right.
and just focus on the cost budget sheets? Though I must clear audience, using any such technology may look a bit more investing capital at the moment, but the benefits that it derives in reducing the construction costs, reducing the construction time, reducing the size of columns and beam, giving you more space to work on, and ensuring that after any or during any natural hazard, your building will perform as it is and people don't need to run away. निखिल जी, you must have listened. एक कहावत है, मुस्कुराइए आप लखनऊ में हैं. सो आई बिलीव ललित जी और निखिल जी का ये प्लान है कि आने वाले कुछ सालों में लोग कहें निश्चिंत रहिए आप सिग्नेचर ग्लोबल में हैं. सो सर, प्लीज टेल मी, डू यू थिंक दिस डिसीजन विल सेपरेट, इट विल मेक चेंज इन द माइंडसेट ऑफ बायर्स?
So the first question that you asked was that should Delhi NCR be following the footsteps of cities like Tokyo or New York? I believe it deserves it, right? Buildings or the tallest towers in these locations are not respected because they are tall. They are respected because they are built on an engineering discipline, right? Delhi NCR is becoming a hub of not just tall buildings, but also of people moving and making it more denser. So as I already mentioned, the engineering discipline needs to be there. We are making sturdy, strong and comfortable spaces for people to live in. Secondly, consumers have become more informed. They know what they want. As you rightly pointed out, the need is already there. The standard needs to be established, and with these standards it is also important for people to evaluate where they want to invest and spend their rest of their lives.
Another thing is that now Indian professionals and families, maybe for vacations, for their business, for their studying abroad or for their any purpose, now Indians have started traveling a lot more. True. And staying a lot more abroad. So they must be getting the hints and vibes and knowledge of what's happening over there. Like around, I would say 10 years back or 5 years back or 15 years back, in every 5-year gap, people went outside, users, as well as designers, influencers, government policy makers, when they used to travel abroad specifically for this purpose or just for any other, if they would have, see for example, seen a new type of facade or a new type of furniture, new flooring, new ceiling, they would have come back to India and had implied that. So now Indian buyers are also going down. Like I heard a lot of people who are very regular going to Japan. They say Japan experiences earthquake mild every week, one semi-major every month and major multiple times in a year. They say we don't need to run. You can stay in your building. Just try to be a bit more cautious. There are no sudden exodus from the buildings to check the. So all those happening. So now clients are also getting updated. So it validates your point that people are getting updated. Now they are demanding more. And see, when people have started learning more, the first demand is obviously safety. Gone are the days when buildings were just G plus 3 floor, or the footprints were too big. Now we are actually challenging geographies. We are challenging geometry by going slimmer, going taller, making buildings which are in swill shape or cantilevers. So we need to incorporate such innovations. So I would like to tell the designers and architects, if you plan what you have sketched, it can be turned into brick, mortar, concrete. You have to innovate. You have to induct such technologies. Dr. Marioni, global standards India has started understanding. Updated, enlightened, responsible real estate developers like them have started taking a leap of faith. Now, it needs measurable performances also. So I would like you to give me a very brief insight into what reduction do you typically see in the peak acceleration as well as displacement, and how does this allow engineers to design taller, slimmer and more elegant looking buildings? And a counter question on that is, does this TMD also remains effective after a major earthquake?
So I answer the last question first. For sure,
I knew that.
for sure, after an earthquake, the TMD are still perfectly operating, and what we recommend is just an inspection, because the earthquake are not scheduled as Swiss watches. Every earthquake is different from the others. So after an earthquake, you have to inspect everything. The reduction capacity of the TMD depends on several factors, but can be assumed a range of reduction of both the acceleration, it means also the forces, and the deformation of the order of 50%. But some regulation reduce this benefit, and so we can say that for sure at least a 25% reduction of the action you have to consider, even if this is a very conservative value. The expected reduction is more, is of the order of 50%.
So that means if I now turn my perspective and line of discussion from totally responsibility and technicality towards commercialization, when we are able to reduce minimum 30-25%, I know you have been telling, Mr. Yogesh has been telling us that Indian codes restrict reduction in forces by maximum 25%, though even very conservatively, you and Professor Lakarbonara say at least 30% should be done. Okay, I go to a thumb rule of 25%. So that means a major cost of this technology can be offset by the reduction in force, which will subsequently be evident and visible in the construction cost, which will be reduced.
I would expect that the entire cost of the TMD would be the cost, as I expect, is less than the saving in the structure, because you must consider that the cost of the TMD in relation to the total cost of the building represent maybe 1%. So to save 1% in the structure is not difficult. In any way, I am not the structural designer of the structure, and so I think the designer can answer better than me. So as far as I can imagine, the cost of the TMD can be largely compensated by the saving in the structure.
Before moving on to the next session,
yes,
on a lighter note, if we happen to, you and me together, happen to renegotiate with Lalit sir, we will be able to increase our budgetary allocations of 380 crores to at least 500 crore because they will be saving that much money.
This should be logical, but I think Mr. Lalit is a very hard negotiator. It's not so easy.
So the audience, performance is not just about safety, it is about long-term asset value as well. Because see, whether we are responsible or not, this is not a pro bono job. This is a commercial aspect. So, Nikhil ji, from a 15-year asset management view, because you are not a builder, you are a real estate developer.
True.
You're not handing over the building on contract for somebody. You are creating a project. You are managing it for many years, then handing over. And not just handing over, you are finishing one project, you are starting other projects. So your brand value has to be intact.
True.
Like how your father says, naam kharab nahi hona chahiye. I have heard this phrase from him at least 100 times since the day I met him. Naam kharab nahi hona chahiye mera. So for a 15-year asset management view, how do you evaluate or what is your thought process on this vibration control device, this TMD or some other technology like this? They can reduce the maintenance cost, dispute cost, litigation risks, and do you agree such MOU acts like almost an insurance policy against future reputational and financial operational shocks?
What I believe is the customer is such informed that they are now able to differentiate between a provider of service and a creator and manager of that service. They're able to know that someone who's just providing me a basic facility versus someone who's thinking about me on a longer vision, thinking about my life, my choices and my needs. Of course, it acts as some kind of an insurance where we are safeguarding people's lives, right? It also helps people evaluate that is my decision to live in a particular apartment is right or no. Do I want my kids to grow up, whatever they want to become, in the vicinity of these apartments or no? Is it safe for me to live 5 years, 10 years, 50 years in these apartments? So I think the major question is, which we need to address is, are we building for 5 years or are we building for future generations?
Long term or short term?
Yeah. So this is the trade-off. And Signature Global continues to bet on the long-term future in building the products and giving the maintenance. Such MOUs or investment in such technologies are a proof that for us, customer is a priority. That for us, the vision is not set for a short-term but a long-term goal. That for us, customers' needs will always be our priority. So I think that sets us apart from other players in the industry. That sets us apart in the ethos that we have and the foundation the company is formed with.
So audience, in a nutshell, if I like to precisely say, Nikhil ji wishes to say that innovation in technology is not a capital expenditure. It is a strategic investment. So sir, just to clear the air, because in next round we will be meeting their architects. Sir, can these TMDs which are to be positioned at the top or the second last floor, can they be exposed as an architectural feature? Because when we talk about Type A101, it is a hanging ball. Yes. When we talk about the new project coming up in Shanghai, it is an exposed thing. Yes. Here, we are placing this mass along with all other machinery on the second last floor. So it will be inside the walls, obviously. So can this be exposed as an architectural feature, or can, considering today's digital world and laser shows, etc., can something be created on the facade, on the wall of that particular mass area?
Of course, there are many architectural solutions possible, and in many cases, like in the 101, the TMD became a touristic attraction. This can be done, of course. Yeah. This can be done.
So, I can give a second proposal to sir, that we can use that particular floor as a viewing gallery as well.
Of course, of course.
So shall I invest in pre-launch rights for that gallery from him?
Yes, so the TMD can be decorated, can be a sculpture. I'm not an architect, so I would.
Let me plan.
Or could be also an aquarium. We studied for Dubai.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, this has not been done.
It is pity that the project never happened.
The mass, of course, the mass, if
an
it is
aquarium.
water, must be much
Beautiful.
larger
Yeah.
than concrete or steel.
Yeah.
But the effect would be very nice.
Yeah.
A very big aquarium with giant
The
fish
work of art.
inside.
So I'll try and hire that floor in pre-launch session from them. So Nikhilji, let's take it towards conclusion.
Yeah.
We have understood that NCR is now developing as a very engineering conscious real estate market.
True.
Obviously, you have been a leader in that. Thanks for that. Sir, how does this help in your commitment for ESG, sustainability, and long-term valuation narrative when we are now seeing an much increased flow of foreign investors or institutional based investor, whether foreign or Indian? How will this add on to the stars for your ESG, sustainability, and long-term viability portfolio?
So I think capital funding is a secondary part. We as a company have always believed that we are now transitioning into a modern real estate where profit and quality is not enough. There has to be a conscious social impact, a positive impact in society.
A hook for a client, something to catch the client.
Yeah, not the client. I think it is a moral responsibility also. If you're not taking care of the internal and external stakeholder, making them, giving back to the society, it is not enough. Secondly, the environmental impact. We work in an industry where there's, knowingly and unknowingly some damage to the environment that we need to plug in, right? And it is a moral duty and ethical duty. We take care of that environment. Lastly, I think from an investor point of view, transparency and governance are the key. You cannot build an organization hiding behind the wheel of statements or coverage, right? You need to come out and be transparent about your processes. You need to be transparent about how things work in an organization, and which translates into credibility and trust, right? So I think we are now transitioning to this side of real estate, which is more corporate based rather than a traditional Lala ki Dukan has changed into a modern corporate setup.
You are on a mission to redefine NCR skyline from concrete to confidence,
Exactly.
from minimum code to performance.
Of course, and wherein we do not just obey or follow the basic compliance, but go 10 steps ahead to boost customers' confidence and trust.
We are
this is our
moving
duty.
towards minimum code compliance to global standards.
Exactly.
Not just following, rather maybe in coming years, set some standards.
Exactly.
So, sir, Dr. Marion, let me come to you, then I'll go to him for the last question. What do you think is the scope of this particular technology in India? Once now they have started, others will definitely be following. And how soon you see more refinements in the algorithms and the sensors that have been already been proposed to them, so that by the time their project takes shape, I'm sure a version 2, 3, 4 would have been ready for the sensoring part, for the predictive maintenance part, for again retune and fine tune the TMD. Like as you say, with the passage of time, the concrete and the steel, they change their nature. So the dynamics of a building changes. Then certain dead loads and live loads, or the pattern of dead load and live load changes. And likewise, the pattern of geological seismic waves as well as wind vibrations changes. So the best part, I believe, of our technology that we are proposing to them is it can be retuned, realigned multiple times as per the dynamics of that building.
Yes.
Can you please validate that, sir?
Validate what I mean. This is very, I think, other systems can do the same, but in a much more complicated way. So the result they will not do. And we follow the building in a very easy way. We can follow in real time and with the best algorithm. Also, it is important the algorithm we developed because the building, the vibration of a building is a very complex and is affected by many, many things. If you just look to the diagram, you understand nothing. You understand nothing. It's like to catch the gravitational waves from the universe. There is a lot of other disturbances that if you don't have a valid algorithm based in the artificial intelligence, you find nothing. And so this is also our one of our strong points.
Nikhilji, just to sum up, conclude, your group's one of the basic principle is legacy. When NCR skyline will be reviewed in say 2040 or let me say in 2047 on 100 year of India's independence, when we definitely will achieve the status of being a developed and a Vishwaguru nation. What do you want today's decision to be remembered for? Because I have my idea of what today's day will be remembered for. I wish to know your perspective, sir.
So from Signature Global's point of view, we would always want to be remembered as a customer-centric organization. An organization which has built not just houses but homes, which has not created spaces which are useless but spaces which are functional, where we have made amenities available for everyone. We want to be remembered by a kid who says that I became an athlete, I became a businessman, I became a dancer, so and so forth, because I was equipped with all the good facilities in the vicinity of my home.
Great.
Where someone can, 20 years down the line say, I'm proud to be a Signature Global owner, right? This is how we want to be remembered as. Something we want to be synonymous with is integrity and trust. We have always believed in the idea of being as transparent, as honest in our processes and functioning as we have been. So, a modern leader equipped with tons of construction innovations, which leads forefront of real estate, not just designs skyscrapers, but responsible and earthquake-proof skyscrapers, where I feel safe, where they feel safe, and we together, all of them can come together and say we are proud to be associated with this brand. I think this is the legacy that we have been trying to create every day in, day out, where consumer is our king, and we would do everything and anything in our area to give them best of offerings and value.
So thank you, gentlemen, both of you. And audience, just to finish, I'll sum up. 17th January 2026 will definitely not be just another date on the calendar. Trust me, mark my words, this day will be remembered as a date of global signature on responsible real estate policy by Signature Global. So looking forward to, gentlemen, for more such interaction in future and bring out the best technology available worldwide. Improvise it, make it in India, use it in India, and make a benchmark for the world. Thank you very much, Nikhil ji, for such an interactive session.
Thank you.
Looking forward for more such endeavors with you, diving deep into technology, bringing new innovations in India, and making real estate a really successful business in India.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Marioni, for guiding me all these years, coming to India. And trust me, now you have to be ready, a bag packed. I'll be calling you every month in India.
Okay.